This is the Business Experience Show with Lisa Caprelli, where we talk to entrepreneurs about the challenges and successes of starting, owning, or operating a business. Hear real-world advice from consulting professionals, marketing strategists, and business owners. Our team brings real-world experience with a splash of personality, adding an entertaining flavor to business talk. The host, Lisa Caprelli, a business owner, marketing consultant, and motivational coach. She has personally spent over $1 million on radio advertising and is here to share everything that has taught her. And now, from the right-brained marketing hostess who connects all the dots, the Business Experience Show.
Welcome to the Business Experience Show. I'm Lisa Caprelli. We're here to help businesses with marketing, strategy, and business experience. Joining me today is Harold Dieps, a certified public accountant with Cohen Patel. He specializes in accounting, tax compliance, and consulting with closely held mid to large size companies. Welcome, Harold. Also, Brian Gapps, an innovative thinker with 10 years experience at a Fortune 500 company and 12 years at a small family-run company. He has seen the many faces of business. Today's show offers plenty of good advice for all businesses, especially mid-market companies, as we talk about strategic planning, proper capitalization, and the current business climate. And while market factors are important, the psychological state of your company can also have a significant impact on output. Joining us later will be performance and results strategist Jarek Robbins. But first, we have Jason Brown. As managing director of GE Capital in Los Angeles, he is quite familiar with many of the middle market companies up and down the West Coast, as well as the challenges they face. Welcome, Jason Brown.
Thanks for having me.
Jason, tell us about your business background.
Sure. I've been with GE Capital for the last 9 years, and prior 10 years I was at a corporate, another bank. And at GE, I've changed positions a little bit over the years, but now I'm responsible for our corporate finance operations on the West Coast.
And who's your ideal company for GE Capital?
Well, a lot of what we're going to talk about is our survey, which really focuses on the businesses that we go after, which is generally a broad range of industries with companies of revenues from $10 million generally to about $1 billion.
What differentiates GE Capital from other similar companies?
Well, I could selfishly say that we're very creative and provide fantastic financing solutions to our customers. But I think that the big thing that we feel differentiates us is, as everyone knows, GE is a large industrial business with very disparate operations across the world and also in a variety of different industries. And we really bring those industrial experts from the variety of different industries to our customers to help them with business problems and help solve the solution and solve issues that our businesses face today.
Are those strategies something you do as part of the vetting process before you carry a company's debt, or is it more of an extended service that you provide?
It's both, but we really focus on the extended service as a way to build relationships and really help our businesses, our customers, continue to grow in this, slow growth environment that we're all faced with today.
What would be an example of that?
Sure. We call the service Access GE because it literally provides access, to our industry experts, and it's really a consultative approach where we provide this service for free to a lot of companies. One in particular that I think of is a company that's a large public company down here, Newport Corporation, and they're someone that has grown quite dramatically over the years and recently made a pretty significant acquisition of a company in Israel. And it's allowed them to expand their product lines and also expand their markets into other areas around the globe. And, as part of this, one of the big areas that they wanted to focus on is strategic planning. It's something that a lot of businesses, now in this slow growth environment, the reset world that we're in, they really feel that, this is something that they haven't really done in the past. They haven't really thought strategically about their products and the industries that, that they're trying to either get into or potentially exit. And what we did for them was a 2-day session where we brought in 22 of their managers from around the globe, and we really led a session of strategic planning and enabled them to really put a plan together, for the next, 5 to 10 years.
How did they know that they needed a plan? Like when you first go into the company, what is your approach to get them to know that we actually need a strategic plan before we move forward?
Well, one of the first things we do is really a needs assessment with them, and it can be a very broad thing, talking about what are the major issues that they're faced with, and a lot of our businesses today have a lot of the common issues that again that come out. It could be healthcare, it could be energy, very common issues that all our businesses in Los Angeles focus. And so we talk through those issues, and through that discussion we generally lead to a top 2 or 3 areas that are the kind of keeping the company up at night kind of things that
Sure.
that we then focus on and see if we can bring value to.
And so cost cutting isn't necessarily just letting people go. It's some of the other areas that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously job growth and keeping jobs is something that I think is near and dear to all of us. And a lot of businesses, particularly in the Los Angeles area, the things that keep them up at night, which came out in our CFO survey, which obviously I'll chat a little bit about as well. But a lot of it is around energy and healthcare, as I mentioned before. And energy and healthcare reductions and savings can really help a business. And on the healthcare side, it could be simple things where they're joining other groups or combining their healthcare, with other companies that are in their industry or in their local market and trying to reduce costs that way. It could be a variety of things on the energy side, as simple as converting facilities to be more cost efficient with lighting changes or HVAC changes. It's a lot of areas that businesses are focusing on to reduce costs.
Obviously, with GE, you could probably help them with energy reduction. Are you also in the healthcare side of things?
Yeah, healthcare is a very large business for us, and obviously GE, has over 300,000 employees, worldwide. So, controlling healthcare costs is something very important, and obviously we do have very large medical diagnostic business that we do, draw a lot of experience from that as well, and those are all things that we can bring to our clients.
Jason, to help these companies with these different areas, do you have is GE Capital set up with different segments or divisions of the company that specializes in each of these different niche practice?
Yeah, we're very focused on domain expertise and being able to bring people from a variety of different sectors to our clients. So when you look at our different lending products, a lot of them are tied to our industrial businesses, which is obviously a natural tie, which everyone knows. Obviously, aviation is a very large one. Healthcare is a very large one, and then we have a lot of energy. Obviously, we're a very significant energy practice, and our lending businesses are all aligned with our industrial businesses in those sectors. And then from that, our domain goes much, much broader into transportation, food, bev, and agriculture, which is obviously a big concentration here in California. And I mean, there's a large number of other specialties that we're in.
What areas does GE Capital specialize in?
Apart from the ones that I mentioned, we have a very significant franchise practice where we're financing restaurants and restaurant chains. We have a very large sponsor finance business where we're providing merger and acquisition financing for private equity sponsor buyouts. Very big business for us. I mentioned the healthcare, the energy. We do a lot of metals and mining transactions. We also, I mentioned energy. Those are really, I think, the larger ones.
Can you share with our audience statistics of where you foresee the economy going, or where people really need to pay attention to now?
Sure. Well, we just we've been doing this for a number of years. We just completed our semi-annual CFO survey, and we actually went out and interviewed 500 CFOs for 30 minutes in a variety of different countries across. A variety of different industries across the country.
And this is recently?
Yeah, we just finished
it.
The survey just came out over the last few weeks. And the CFOs really came back with a few areas that they're focused on, the areas of concern. In general, the sentiment is better than it was a year ago, but worse than it was in the first quarter of 2012. But most CFOs do feel like their company has a positive outlook, and hiring does continue, but more cautiously. And really, the largest concerns that CFOs are seeing is unemployment, followed by the U.S. budget deficit, and thirdly, the area which hasn't been discussed as much as of late with everything going on is the European fiscal crisis. If you look at what are kind of areas that will affect the performance of a company's business, CFOs in general feel that healthcare and raw material costs over the next 12 months are really going to be kind of the big areas to watch and be focused on to make sure that profits do continue to either stay flat or move up in their businesses.
What information do you have for businesses right now that can benefit from this data?
Well, we're obviously sharing a lot of this, with our customers and helping them, look at the different areas of concern and figuring out ways that we can help them, manage the current business climate. We're bringing a lot of ideas around industry consolidation, ways to compete both through complementary products or services or other technology offerings that clients might be able to get into, and then we're also showing some of the data and helping clients look at geographic expansion and other areas that they can expand into.
Jason, we got to take a quick break. We're listening to GE Capital, Jason Brown. For more information about GE Capital or to reach any of us today, go to thebusinessexperienceshow.com. That's thebusinessexperienceshow.com. Follow us on Facebook or Twitter. You're listening to The Business Experience Show on Sports Radio AM 830 KLAA. Are you an entrepreneur who would like to increase your business by becoming more recognizable in your field? Ever considered authoring a book, being on radio, or strengthening your brand, but you haven't yet? Hi, I'm Lisa Caprelli with the Business Experience Show. I can help you remake or revitalize your professional image in ways you only dreamed about or never imagined. Through business, marketing, and networking, I can show you how to put the passion and fun back in what you do. Visit goglossy.com for a free consultation. I would love to help you achieve more. Visit goglossy.com.
Welcome back to the Business Experience Show, where traditional business practices intersect with outside-the-box thinking on the road to success.
Welcome back to the Business Experience Show. I'm Lisa Caprelli with Harold Diepp and Brian Gapps. We're talking with Jason Brown, Managing Director for GE Capital in Los Angeles.
Jason, it sounds like you take on customer debt or business debt. Do you get into such things as bankruptcy, companies fighting that?
Yeah, I mean, we're very broad as a finance company in the realm that we operate in. So some of our customers are in bankruptcy, and we do provide financing for them to restructure and reorganize and emerge from bankruptcy. That's a very large portion of what we do. And then we also play, all the way from the distress side all the way through the healthy side, where we might be financing, a very healthy company acquiring one of its competitors, and that's a typical, range of financing for us to work on.
So would you say, is timing crucial in your industry? When is the right time to come to GE Capital, and when might it be considered too late?
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes our financings are event-driven, where a company might be in severe distress and potentially, going into bankruptcy, or it might be, as I mentioned earlier, an acquisition. So, generally that's the driver for us. We obviously like more lead time, to help a customer with anything, but oftentimes it's last minute coming to us and looking for help in a specific area.
What the financing, do you generally have to have the shareholder guarantee on the loans?
As a general rule, it's not something that we actually value. We generally, and that is a differentiator for us to the banks. Generally we don't have a personal guarantee because we really are underwriting the value, either the value of the assets of a business or the actual going concern value of a business is generally the two approaches we take, and that's independent of a personal guarantee.
That sounds great. Actually, you'll probably get a lot of callers after this.
Right. So I know you have data for us about mid-sized companies.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's as I mentioned earlier, we really focus on the middle market, which again is, the 10 or $50 million businesses to the $1 billion range. And, that's a segment that I think is kind of somewhat forgotten.
Right.
And, in California, we've got 53 Fortune 500 companies, which is more than any other state, which I think surprises people often. And we all know that there's a lot of startups, that are coming forward. But the middle market is really kind of the growth engine of, the economy. And more importantly, it's really the growth engine of jobs. I mean, if the middle market's added 1.95 million jobs and increased overall employment by 3.8% from the previous year versus just 0.8% for large corporations. So that's really a sector that, when we hear people talking about job growth, I mean, that's really a sector that is providing job growth and providing, future opportunities for people to get jobs.
And most of these mid-market companies are privately held, and they don't really get the headlines like, let's say, an Apple. But they really are the backbone of the country and the state. And so it sounds like a lot of what you do is done behind the scenes and doesn't really make the pages of the business section.
Yeah, I mean, we have most of our clients are quite secretive. A lot of them are not. But yeah, I mean, if you look at just that segment, there's $9 trillion of revenue coming out of these middle market companies nationally. So it's a huge part of our economy. And yeah, I mean, it's just not recognized or looked at as much as it probably should be.
Who is the ideal client listening right now, Jason, that you feel you can help?
Which really are probably a business that's growing, that has some pretty significant issues that it needs to solve. A lot of our clients are manufacturers, and obviously, with our Access GE program and GE's industrial business, we help a lot of our customers implement Lean Six Sigma and other manufacturing processes. So oftentimes a manufacturer is a good prospect for us. But there's so many industries that we play in that there's a lot of flexibility in what is an ideal client for us.
You've been in the space for 20 years, the last 9 years with GE Capital. What is gratifying to you about your job?
Well, I definitely, like helping companies. I mean, I have a lot of fantastic relationships with our CEOs that mean a lot. And,
before you go in, when you find out their issues or they have problems, are you like, oh my God, I could really help this company? Do you know that before you even start the process with your strategic planning and the teams you work with?
Well, having gone through a lot of these things, yeah, I mean, I think that certain things just jump out at you at businesses. And it's not oftentimes that the CEO or the CFO hasn't really thought about it. It's often that, these are middle market companies and they just don't have access to the same kind of resources and technologies and people that, GE has access to, given our size and breadth, both domestically and internationally. So, these are often things that the CEO would love to have access to, but just given their size, they just don't. So that's again, one of our differentiators is to bring this Access GE team forth and really be able to discuss some of these, very big business problems.
Give some success stories with some of your clients. I know some you are allowed to say names and some you're not. Obviously, give us the ones you can say.
Sure. Well, I mean, one of our favorite clients that's been very good to us over the years is Lucky Strike Entertainment. And Lucky Strike's obviously a bowling alley. I think everyone probably knows who they are, and hopefully everyone's bowled at their rinks at some point. And they're a business that you would think would only be really focused on the consumer, and that's really what they were in the past, and they're looking for other ways to grow and expand their business. And one thing that we did for them was really help them implement a CRM kind of a system which enabled them to hire a sales force and start going after corporate accounts as a way to diversify their income stream and hopefully provide a little bit more stability layered on top of their regular consumer clientele that they have. So we brought in some experts from a couple of our businesses to help them implement it and help them choose the right system for them that's enabled them now to slightly change their business model and continue to grow in this difficult environment that we're in.
What advice would you give to other small companies as they try to achieve significant growth based on what you've seen?
Well, we I guess we talk about 5 golden rules just in general, which I think can apply to really any business of any size. And that's know where you can offer value and play to your strengths. Be immersed in your customers and markets and take action where necessary. Don't be complacent. Balance risk and performance. Apply systems thinking to find success, end-to-end solutions kind of stuff. And build strategic alliances and partnerships. And the strategic alliance and partnerships is often a way that our customers are able to expand globally as well, which is obviously an extra source of income for a lot of our clients that just focus domestically.
Give examples of strategic alliances.
Well, GE really is an expert at this, and I think we've entered a lot of different areas in China, and a lot of our clients are trying to enter China both from a manufacturing standpoint and a sales standpoint. And it's a daunting place to go, and a lot of people have heard a variety of different horror stories and issues with working in China, but a lot of our clients and GE also has found the ability to find strategic partners that they end up trusting that can work with them to either bring their product to China or help their products, get manufactured, in China and brought back to the U.S.
And counter to my previous question, what would you advise businesses not to do?
Well, I think that's quite a few things, but we're in this slow growth world, and most of our successful customers have right-sized their businesses. They've made the hard decisions to strategically think about the segments that they're in and the products that they manufacture, and really are they the right ones for future growth for their business. So, it's really, a lot of our customers is really making the hard decisions on how to manage their company through this and cut costs and, look for those future growth opportunities for them to expand.
Speaking of cutting costs, are there, I know that there are cost-cutting companies out there, or companies that specializes in cost cutting. Do you work with those companies, or is that just something part of what GE does?
Well, again, we're just we're providing the framework, the thinking for customers to implement something or do something, and it's really just a best practice sharing that we're doing. We're not actually going in and actually doing the work. It's more bringing our expertise. But yeah, we, especially on the restructuring side, there's numerous national and regional firms that we use that bring in consultants for businesses. So it's pretty common for a lot of our customers to utilize them, and again, it's a lot of these businesses, which is why the middle market loves the Access GE product, is they just don't have access to these tools. So hiring outside consultants that specialize in cost cutting is something that a customer will often utilize after they've had initial consultation with our Access GE team.
And I imagine with some of these companies, it's really difficult for them to step aside from their daily activities and take the time to strategize.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things that companies don't do. A CEO and a CFO of a company are constantly bombarded with issues that need to be addressed on a day-to-day basis.
They don't want you guys to leave. They open
Sometimes
up an
they
office
don't.
for you.
Sometimes they don't. A lot of these companies we've done. Newport Corporation that I mentioned before. We've done 3 projects for them.
It sounds like you have more of a lifelong relationship with them.
We like to think so.
Right.
I think that it's as all of us, anyone in business today,
Sure.
it's harder to it's much harder to get a client than to keep a client.
Right.
So I think service and being thoughtful and providing this expertise is important, because no one wants to lose a client in this day and age.
That's for sure. I have a question for our CPA Harold here. Harold, based on the clients that you work with, and you also work with mid to large size companies, what are some of the benefits that GE Capital that Jason is sharing here today can actually benefit some of your clients in outside the box thinking, where they don't know the direction to go, whether they are facing bankruptcy or whether their business is flat and they need to go to a new direction?
Like Jason mentioned, it's all about being able to service the client better. And what he mentioned was that being able to help them in different areas of their business, and not just being able to provide them with financing like a regular bank does, but to be able to help them with the business strategy and cost cutting, things like that. That will help the company stay afloat and remain viable long term.
Awesome. I know that you do stuff outside of GE Capital that benefits other businesses. Can you share about that, your outside activities you've done?
Sure. I'm very active in an association called the Association for Corporate Growth. It's an international organization that is focused on private equity and investment banking professionals working with private companies, helping them with acquisitions and divestitures. So it's a very big thing that I'm involved with, and we have a lot of monthly programs, as well as a very large annual conference and awards banquet that we do once a year, and it's really targeted at the middle market businesses in LA and providing them with the expertise and know-how to make acquisitions and divest areas of their businesses that maybe are no longer relevant. How
do businesses find you, or how do you find them?
We go through a variety of different channels. The main channel is really direct to the client. All our businesses have originators that are focused on calling on specific segments, both from a domain expertise space and a size perspective. So we call a lot of customers directly, and hopefully a number of people on the phone have had G calling them. And then we also get a significant amount of our business through other service providers that have had a client that has had a good experience with GE. So investment bankers, CPAs, attorneys, and obviously the private equity community are very big sources of business to us, because they've had a positive experience in the past with us and know that we can be very helpful in financing a business.
We've talked about growth a lot and finding new sources of revenue, but at some point an exit strategy has to be decided on in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of businesses, will sell themselves because they feel that, they've reached a point where there's succession planning, or they've reached a point where they feel that, the next chapter for the business really is probably in the hands of somebody else.
And I know so many people that don't have an exit strategy for their business. I rarely know businesses that actually do, and it sounds like that's part of your strategic planning for businesses.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something.
It becomes part of it.
It definitely does, and we introduce a lot of very qualified advisors to our customers when they ask. But preparing for sale and figuring out the next strategic direction for a company is critical. And I mean, we have a lot of business owners that say that they'd like to sell, but they've never really sat down and actually thought about what are the next steps to accomplish that.
And I imagine that process can take quite a while to do it correctly. It could draw out for several years, or at least a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, what state the company is. But, yeah, certainly, private equity buyers and strategic buyers are looking for different things and have different requirements as far as reporting and financial statements and the like. And getting your house, quote unquote, in order can take quite a while to facilitate a successful sale and maximize the value of your business in an exit.
Jason, you've had the opportunity of working with many mid-sized to large businesses. I'm sure you've had the privilege of meeting many CEOs, CFOs of big name companies. What do you find is the common factor for success with these businesses? A
lot of the people that I like the most, to be honest, are people that are great leaders, people that empower their people and help their employees grow and have a unique experience.
So you can tell when you go into a place, wow, this has good leadership from the top down? It's something that you can recognize in the atmosphere and the energy of an office?
Often, I mean, it's not often an immediate thing, but it's something that you learn over time, and you can see if a business owner's walking around a shop floor and everyone's waving to him and saying hello and has a smile on your face. I mean, generally that's genuine. So
What are some places you would work at based on that experience, where not that you're not going to be with GE forever, but if you...
Do I really have to answer that?
That's a trap
this is kudos to a great company out there and the respect, because I know that's really hard to find.
Well, I mean, to be honest, one of the reasons that I'm with GE is the leadership aspects, and we pride ourselves. If anyone's read any Jack Welch books or any of the other books about GE and our learning center back in Crotonville, New York, I mean, it's something that most GE employees are very proud of and feel that the leadership skills that GE's taught all of us are great life lessons for us.
Awesome. And this is not a recruiting show for GE. Thanks for sharing.
With regard to the climate for business in California, how do you feel about the immediate future?
Well, going back to the CFO survey, one area that CFOs continue to hold the most favorable views on was really the food and beverage and agriculture CFOs. And when you look at the middle market, that's a huge area of optimism, I think, in the local economy.
Jason, last words for our audience about GE Capital that you'd like to share with us.
I think we're out there, and we're not deploying as much funds as we'd like, and we'd love the opportunity to speak with more businesses and continue to grow our franchise.
Thanks for being with us, GE Capital, Jason Brown. For more information about Jason and GE Capital, you can reach us at thebusinessexperienceshow.com. That's thebusinessexperienceshow.com. You're listening to The Business Experience Show on Sports Radio AM 830 KLAA.